Luxury cruise ship liner that's run aground off the coast of Italy. Here's what we know so far. More than 4,000 people were on board the Costa Concordia when it ran aground near the island of Giglio. Many people have been rescued, but 3 have been confirmed dead so far. That number is likely to grow. Divers are still searching for the dozens of people who are still believed to be missing. Let's get an update now from Barbara Serra in our European News Centre. Barbara, we said the rescue efforts are still going on and the search for answers will be going on as well. Many still wonder how this could have happened.
Well, absolutely, Rita. What started as a luxury holiday quickly turned into blind panic to escape a sinking ship. The passengers were having dinner when the Costa Concordia ran aground and started to list to the side. Some passengers jumped into the water and 50 others had to be rescued by helicopter after they were trapped on board. Now, Sonia Gallego is at the scene for us. She will give us an update shortly. First, though, this report from Paul Brennan.
This is not happening. This is not happening.
But it was happening. And as their life rafts circled the stricken cruise ship and headed for shore, the fear of the passengers is obvious. At this point, the ship is relatively upright, but the enormity of it is becoming clear.
Our sinking boat. I didn't even realize that this is actually happening right now. This will hit me later. All of our stuff is on it, but we are off of it, and there's still people on there.
By morning, the Costa Concordia had listed even more dramatically onto its side. More than 4,000 people had been aboard when there was a loud bang, the vessel shook, and the lights went out.
Then we had a blackout, and everybody was just screaming out. All the passengers were running up and down. And then we went to our cabins to get to know what's going on, and then they said that we should stay calm. It's nothing. It's just an electrical problem or just some blackout thing. But the ship was already tilted, so you can imagine the ship already like this.
We were all in the restaurant. Then we heard a noise. The boat started shaking. There was panic, like in a film. Dishes crashing to the floor, people running, people falling down the stairs. Then they took us outside, and after almost an hour, they let us get on the emergency boats. It was almost an hour and a half after the impact.
Helicopters were needed to rescue around 50 people after the ship listed so badly they couldn't launch lifeboats. And as bewildered survivors were ferried to safety, authorities confirmed that at least 3 people were known to have died, although rescuers said the search of the submerged cabin areas is continuing, and there may be more bodies yet to be found. Photographs of the ship's hull show a huge gash and substantial damage over a 50-meter section below the waterline, but the cause isn't clear.
The
ship developed a problem in the hull on the left side, probably a leak, and it started letting in water and listing. The captain tried to get as close to the coastline as possible, and from there the evacuation operations began. We dispatched more than 5 ships to the area, as well as numerous smaller vessels, and there are 4 helicopters too. The ship, after some time and after the evacuation of some 4,000 people, began listing even more.
The evacuees are taking refuge in schools, hotels, and even a church on the tiny island of Giglio. Those airlifted to safety were flown to Grosseto, while others who were rescued by local ferry boats went to the mainland. It made a definitive head count difficult to do, but early estimates that as many as 69 people might be unaccounted for are now being revised downwards. Paul Brennan, Al Jazeera.
Well, Sonia Gallego joins us now from Porto Santo Stefano. So, Sonia, first of all, what can you tell us about the rescue operation? What's the latest on that?
Well, Barbara, the rescue operation is still underway, and the Coast Guard have been conducting preliminary operations around the ship to see how they can get inside those cabins. It's quite a dangerous part of the operation. That's why they have to go into it with a lot of caution, because obviously they have challenges such as the rising sea tide, and if that happens, then it could actually force the ship to go down even further, because the base of the seabed itself is at an incline. So that is something really that they have to look out for. So far, what we know about those who were confirmed dead, 2 of them were French, another a Peruvian. He was a member of the crew. But those rescue operations aren't going to be stopping at all throughout the night.
And tell us a little bit about the investigation into how this actually happened. Obviously, it's still early days, but has anything else emerged during the course of today?
Well, there have been a few suggestions as to what could possibly have been the cause, but it's still very early days. We were with the Coast Guard themselves today while they were taking the black box, the information box, from the ship to try and ascertain exactly what was the cause. Now, it could be a combination of either mechanical error or indeed human error itself. But, you know, there are suggestions from some sources that the ship was off its course, so that could have been a reason why this went horribly wrong, this trip here. And once it seemed the captain understood the severity of the situation, he desperately tried to get the ship away from the port area of the island of Giglio as quickly as possible to avoid a collision into that port. Unfortunately, it still caused a horrible collision instead onto the rocks of the coast of the island, Barbara.
And finally, Sonia, obviously there were about more than 4,000 people on the ship. Most of them have been rescued there in the island of Giglio. Where are they going to be spending the night?
Well, some of them have already been taken to areas. Obviously, the ones who are injured have been taken to nearby hospitals. And we just met up with 4 American survivors who were, until a couple of hours ago, unaccounted for. They had a pretty dramatic story where they actually jumped off the ship and into the water and swam to the shore and were met by locals who took them into a local hotel where they stayed the night. They're now back onto the mainland. They're being looked after by a member of the Costa, a representative from the Costa cruise ship. They are unsure. They believe they are going to be going to Rome or heading out somewhere near Rome, where they're going to be sort of figuring out what the next steps are and trying to get back home as quickly as possible. But it's still sort of trying to find out exactly what the next steps are and where people need to go to. Of course, this was quite a full cruise ship where there were various nationalities on board, and now the challenge is to try and get them back home to where they belong.
Sonia Giglio at Porto Santo Stefano. Thank you, Sonia. And I'm going to be back a little later this news hour with more from Europe, including